A successful businessman was framed for the death of his secret lover. To help him prove his innocence, he hires a prestigious lawyer to defend him. Could they solve the mystery and uncover the truth of this case? The story begins with Virginia, a prestigious defense lawyer with no record of losing a case in her career. One night, she goes to an apartment suite to meet up with her client, Adrian, a suspect in a murder case and temporarily out on €1 million bail. Adrian is a successful entrepreneur with many achievements in his life. However, he was framed for the death of Laura, his secret lover, in a remote hotel in Spain. Adrian's lawyer has hired Virginia to assist them in future trials as the situation is getting more complicated. Amidst their conversation, Virginia tells Adrian that he will be called to the court in 3 hours to testify because the prosecutor found a last-minute witness to bring Adrian down. Virginia asks Adrian to tell the truth about his case to prepare for their countermeasure for the upcoming trials. Then, Adrian recounts how someone tried to blackmail him and Laura. The blackmailer knows about Adrian's affair and demands a lot of money to maintain the affair's secrecy. After that, Adrian and Laura go to a remote hotel room as they follow the blackmailer's instructions. In the room, Adrian receives a message from Laura's phone, realizing it is a trap because Laura had lost her phone. When they prepare to leave the hotel room, a mysterious figure appears and smashes Adrian's head onto the mirror. Adrian is knocked unconscious, and when he wakes up, the attacker has killed Laura and left the scene. Soon after, the police break in and arrest Adrian for the murder of Laura as he is the only possible suspect. Hearing Adrian's story, Virginia doubts the story because there is no way another person could access Adrian's room and leave without a trace. Adrian maintains his innocence and believes it was a scheme to set him up. Unconvinced with Adrian's story, Virginia pressures Adrian to tell her the truth, or he will lose the trials. Virginia then asks Adrian to recount the event before the hotel room incident by presenting a piece of newspaper about the disappearance of a man named Daniel. Virginia convinces Adrian that this case might relate to the hotel incident and lead them to Laura's killer. With no other choice, Adrian decides to cooperate and recount the event before Laura's death. Adrian admits that he and Laura are having an affair even though they are married. One time, they meet up in a remote cottage secretly. Adrian's wife calls him in the morning, believing his husband is currently in Paris. Soon after, Adrian and Laura decide to go back to Barcelona. On the way, Adrian talks about ending their affair. However, Laura is against that idea and starts arguing with Adrian. Suddenly, a deer jumps onto the road and surprises Adrian and the other driver in the opposite lane. They crash head-on, resulting in both cars spinning around. Adrian and Laura are saved by the seatbelts and left unharmed. However, the other driver, Daniel, was not using a seatbelt and was presumed dead when Laura and Adrian checked on him. In a panic, Adrian tries to call the police, but Laura prevents him from doing so. Laura convinces Adrian that it isn't their fault and blames the deer for the accident. Laura also tells him their life will be over if they are involved in this accident. After that, they try to flee, but Adrian's car won't start due to the crash. A moment later, they hear another car coming in their direction. Thinking fast, they hide Daniel's body inside his vehicle and return to the road, acting as if they have just bumped each other. They manage to avoid suspicion from the passing driver, and when they are left alone, they decide to dispose of Daniel's corpse and car. They then hide Daniel's corpse inside the trunk, and Adrian goes to get rid of the evidence. Meanwhile, Laura stays behind and tries to fix Adrian's car. Later at night, Adrian drowns the vehicle in a secluded lake with no witnesses and then escapes the area with Laura's help. However, when they meet again, Laura is devastated by guilt. She tells Adrian that she met an older man named Thomas, who offered to help her fix the car. Laura recounts that she and Thomas went to his house and met with Elvira, Thomas's wife, whom he met and fell in love with at a theater club. While Thomas was fixing Adrian's car, Elvira showed Laura a picture of her son. Laura recognized the person in the picture as Daniel, their victim. As Laura was about to leave, Daniel's parents received a message from a friend telling them that Daniel was missing. They then tried to call Daniel's phone, but it turned out that Laura had taken it from the car and now she had to hide it. Luckily, Laura hid it and made it as if Daniel had forgotten to bring his phone. After that, Laura returns to Adrian's car and leaves Thomas's residence. Hearing Laura's story, Adrian is confused about what to do next, to which Laura responds with an elaborated plan to hide their crime. The next day, Adrian sells his car in a scrapyard so police can't trace it anymore. Afterward, he bid farewell to Laura as they agreed to end their relationship. Adrian also goes to the police station and files a report that his car is stolen in a parking lot to ensure he is safe. Back to the present time in Adrian's apartment room, Adrian had just told Virginia about the event of Daniel's disappearance. Virginia then receives a phone call telling her that the trials will begin soon. After that, Adrian calls his lawyer to ask about the progress of their effort. Afterward, Adrian passes his phone to Virginia as she and the lawyer discuss the current situation. When the phone call ends, Virginia assures Adrian that everything is under control and asks Adrian to continue with his confession. Adrian recounts that since then, They have lived their life bearing the guilt of their crime as news of Daniel's disappearance spreads on the media. But one day, the police ask Adrián to come to the office because they believe Adrián is involved in Daniel's case. According to Daniel's parents, the plate number of the suspicious woman they met matches Adrián's car. However, Adrián and his lawyer insist that the vehicle was stolen and Adrián was in Paris at that time. They get off the hook, and his lawyer manages to clear Adrián's name from the case record. Weeks later, news that Daniel had stolen some money from his workplace and might have faked his death to escape spread in the media. After seeing the news, Adrián contacts Laura to meet her. When they meet, Laura tells Adrián that he took Daniel's wallet just before they put him in the trunk. Laura then confesses that she manipulates Daniel's bank card using her husband's laptop as he works at the same bank as Daniel. Laura had framed Daniel for stealing money from the bank to keep her and Adrián safe from suspicion. However, Adrián expresses his disagreement, but Laura threatens Adrián that if she gets caught, she will take Adrián down with her. After that, Laura left Adrián alone. In the following days, Adrián's business performs very well, and he receives the Businessman of the Year award. When Adrián and his wife go to a celebration party, Thomas disguises himself as a reporter and manages to meet personally with Adrián. Thomas asks Adrián about the truth of Daniel's disappearance, but Adrián insists that he knows nothing of it. Thomas then asks Adrián if he has a lighter to light his smoke. When Thomas sees Adrián's lighter, he recognizes it as the same lighter he saw when he fixed the car that Laura used. Enraged, Thomas throws the lighter into a nearby pool and asks Adrián to tell him if Daniel's fate was the same as that drowned lighter. The guard comes up and forcefully takes Thomas away. Since then, Adrián never sees Thomas anymore. Adrián assumes that Thomas has given up and is focusing on caring for his wife. Back to the present time in Adrián's apartment room, Virginia tells Adrián that they now have two murder cases that are linked to each other. It is safe to assume that Laura's death resulted from Daniel's death. Virginia suspects that the mysterious person that killed Laura is related to Daniel in some way. However, Adrián tells Virginia that he suspects one more unnamed person, and that is the passing driver he and Laura met. Adrián suspects the driver knew about Daniel's crash all along and might have witnessed the moment Adrián drowns Daniel's vehicle along with the corpse. After hearing Adrián's theory, Virginia tells Adrián his assumption isn't plausible, which can be fatal for the trial. Then, Adrián recalls the moment before he and Laura go to the hotel. One day, Adrián receives a letter from someone using Daniel's name. When Adrián opens the letter, he finds a picture of a swampy lake similar to Daniel's last spot and a voice recorder telling Adrián that the sender knows what he and Laura did. The blackmailer demands €100,000 delivered to a specific hotel room, or they will send the picture to the police. Furthermore, the blackmailer instructs Adrián and Laura to come together to the hotel and leave Laura's phone in the train station's trash bin. After that, everything happens similar to Adrián's original story of Laura's death, with them being assaulted by an unknown person inside the room. But this time, Thomas was the killer. Virginia explains to Adrián that by putting Thomas as the killer, the judge might believe them as Thomas has a solid motive to seek revenge on him and Laura. Virginia states that it is plausible to assume Thomas did all this scheme as he gave up on the police to help him, and now he seeks justice by his hand. But by doing so, Adrián has to admit to the court what he did to Daniel to support his claim of Thomas's involvement and to make Adrián less guilty of the murder case. However, Adrián thinks admitting his crime isn't worth it if he can't prove how Thomas could get in and get out of Laura's crime scene without a trace. Virginia then shows a newspaper photo taken when Adrián was escorted by the police after Laura's death, with Elvira, Thomas's wife, also in the picture. Virginia points out that Elvira works at that hotel and explains how Thomas and his wife could work together to trap Adrián and Laura. Virginia explains how Thomas manages to lure them out by showing a random photo of a swampy lake to scare them. When they bite the bait, Thomas directs them to the hotel room. Before they arrive, Thomas already gains access to the room and the window's key with Elvira's help. When Adrián and Laura enter the trap, Thomas sends the message from Laura's phone that he picked up at the station's trash bin. Then, Thomas proceeds to knock Adrián out and kill Laura. Since the staff locked all the windows due to winter, guests couldn't open the window by themselves, thus making it impossible for others to escape. However, with Elvira's window key, Thomas manages to escape from the window without a trace, leaving Adrián framed as the killer. As Virginia and Adrián are talking, a phone call comes in. Virginia receives information that the last-minute witness is the passing driver Adrián met. Then, Virginia comes up with a solution to keep Adrián safe by blaming Laura for Daniel's death. With this, Adrián will stick to the alibi that he was in Paris when Daniel disappeared, and Laura will be the only person involved in Daniel's accident. In addition, because Adrián is Laura's secret lover, Laura dragged him to the hotel room because she asked him to accompany her. This scenario will frame Adrián as a victim of Laura's crime and a victim of Thomas's murder scheme. Furthermore, to ensure this scenario work well, Virginia advises putting one of Laura's belongings at the site where Adrián disposed of Daniel's car and corpse. Virginia passes a map to Adrián and asks him to mark the spot where he disposed of Daniel. Still unconvinced of the plan, Adrián tells Virginia that there is still one problem. According to Virginia's earlier information, the prosecutor had the passing driver as the witness, which will put this scenario in vain. However, Virginia reveals that she was lying all along about the prosecutor and the last-minute witness. She did that to pressure her client into speaking the truth. After that, Adrián completely trusts Virginia's plan and marks the spot where Daniel is. Virginia then goes to the nearby window and stares at someone watching from a window across the building. Suddenly, Adrián confesses that just before he dumped Daniel's car, Daniel wasn't dead yet and begged for Adrián's help. However, it is too late to save Daniel because Adrián wouldn't want to risk it. He decided to ignore Daniel and proceeded to drown him along with his car. Hearing such an evil confession from Adrián, Virginia is enraged with what Adrián did back then. Both of them argue on this matter, but Adrián reminds Virginia that her job is to make sure he wins the trials no matter what. Virginia regains her composure, confronts Adrián, and says that all of Adrián's stories are just twisted narratives from the beginning. It turns out that the one who took all the initiatives in that story was indeed Adrián himself and not Laura. Virginia explains how in every situation where Adrián put Laura as the initiator was Adrián's doing all along. In fact, according to Laura's medical record, she was driven by guilt and decided to confess everything to Daniel's parents. Virginia also unravels how the meeting at the hotel was Laura's idea to make amends to Daniel's parents. She also planned to ask Adrián to turn themselves to the police together. But Adrián fears losing everything he has and decides to kill Laura instead. After that, he pretends as if they were assaulted by someone else, just like his original testimony. Thus since then, he twisted the narratives to ensure he was innocent. After getting exposed, Adrián is enraged and swears that he will never admit it to the court. Virginia then asks Adrián to come with her to the windows. There, she points Adrián to the building across the road. Virginia tells Adrián that Thomas is standing there, watching all of Adrián's moves. Virginia tells Adrián that after the hotel incident, Thomas and his wife know that Adrián killed Laura, and now they are looking for some way to bring Adrián down. Adrián asks how Virginia would know about it and suspect Virginia. However, Virginia explains that when Adrián's lawyer went to her office, he saw Thomas stalking them from afar. Guessing Thomas has a link to Adrián's case, Virginia then figures out the relation between Thomas and Adrián, which leads her to the topic of Daniel's disappearance. Adrián is amazed at how Virginia manages to link the two cases involving him and provides him with a solution to his predicament. Virginia also revealed that the peace photo with Elvira was fabricated to make Adrián believe Virginia was tricked by his narrative. After that, Virginia convinces Adrián that she could help him win the trials, but to do so, she must know the truth about Laura's death. Adrián confesses that he is the one who killed Laura and Virginia is right all along about him twisting the narratives. Following such revelation, Virginia tells Adrián to get a 10-minute break before continuing their preparation to help him win the trials. As Virginia leaves the room for a break, Adrián's lawyer calls him on the other phone and asks why Adrián's phone is not on. A sudden high-pitched sound from the phone then interrupts their call. When Adrián pulls the pen used by Virginia earlier, he finds a microphone hidden inside it. Adrián recalls his time with Virginia tonight and failed to notice her suspicious behaviors. Realizing that he is doomed, he runs to the window to see the spot where Thomas was watching him earlier. It turns out that Virginia is already there with Thomas. She slowly removes her disguise and reveals that Elvira had impersonated Virginia all along. In the end, Thomas and Elvira successfully pull an elaborated plan to get Adrián to confess to 2 murder cases he committed. Thomas then immediately calls the police to submit their evidence, while Adrián is dumbfounded when he meets the real Virginia, who had just arrived at his doorstep. Lies and crimes will undoubtedly be exposed no matter how people try to cover up their crimes. If we make mistakes, we should admit them and not cover up bad things like what happened in this story. What would you do if you were Thomas or Adrián? Write your opinion in the comment section below. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.